Figured since I was doing a little bit of work to my Thunderbolt today, today would be a better day than ever to do a video on it. So this is my Thunderbolt. It came from Gordon, Nebraska. It was on the west end of town. They had 3 Thunderbolts. The west end, as I said, was mine. The north end of town went to John originally, and the chopper motor out of that is actually now in mine. The one that was in mine to begin with was a 4.5. This is now a 5.6. The and the 1003 went to Savage, and now Savage has both the North 1000T and the 1003. So that's pretty cool. So this one, I didn't do the greatest paint job on it. I'm thinking about stripping it back down and setting it in to get powder coated, or actually, well, I'd probably just get it sandblasted and then powder coated. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out for now. So since it's not going into service, I'm not going to worry about it. But this is it. I'll show you the serial number since I've been gatekeeping that for a year or more. Serial number is T1125-D. It was originally in Washington, D.C. So the 1003 that was on the tower in the middle of Gordon was the only original siren that they had, Thunderbolt-wise. Everything else, the other 2 Thunderbolts, they got from Washington, D.C. So, I don't know where in D.C. this one was located, but it's now in my backyard, so that's cool. Anyway, it originally had a 3-phase rotator motor inside, and it is now single-phase. The blower motor, and actually the whole entire blower, I'll get to that in a minute, is not original to this. So the panels, you'll notice, are different size. The left one here is a little bit longer than the right. The reason why is because on the original Thunderbolts, they were, I believe, all 3-phase to begin with. I could be wrong on that. But the 3-phase motors do not have a capacitor on the top, or well, actually on the bottom in this case. And the capacitor is about that big, so it just needs that much more room, and that's why this panel's longer on the single-phase ones. Later on, Federal would totally change them out, so they'd all just be the same length on the later heads. So you'll notice on the early, like 50s Thunderbolts, this one's a 58. They're all short, and then on the newer ones they're longer, and that's because of the, they just did that to save time. I would assume it just makes sense. So someday I'll probably get new panels made for this. You'll notice that collar is crooked. That's actually because of this top rotator panel being so lopsided and goofy. You can see that's pretty much totally straight, so that's just what that is. The corner of this was all smashed, and I stuck it in a vise and did my best to kind of straighten that out. And I put a bunch of silicone on it today and painted over it, so that's as good as that can be for now. I will get a shorter panel made to replace this one. What I did with my single-phase rotator motors, I pulled the capacitor off the bottom and I stuck it to the side of the motor and I zip-tied it all the way around. So that's why it's short now and it can fit on. But originally when I ran this thing on New Year's Eve at midnight, which that was in my garage, I couldn't get the panels on, and I was wondering why. Well, it's because of that. So the blower on this is not original. The blower serial number has been documented. It is T1988. So I don't know where the head is for this. They came from the same place, so it's got to be somewhere. The blower on this is a early 4M. This is a 60s 4M, I would assume. So it was right after they discontinued the 5M. It's a little bit crusty. I have not cleaned it up at all. So that was something I was going to do, and I just never got around to doing. I did oil it. I still need to grease it, because my grease gun had enough grease to get down in this one, and then it ran out, so it couldn't fully grease that, and I tried it on this, and it didn't work. Because when you grease these, and you can see all this crap on the outside, the old grease comes out of these holes here. There's another one that's covered up in shit on that side. But it sounds really good, except for the low... Actually, that sounds really good now. But you can kind of hear when it starts to spin really fast, it's kind of dry on grease. So I don't run it a whole lot. Because what I've been doing is I've been taking a shop vac, because my shop vac has the same diameter for this, so it just slips right inside and it makes a perfect seal. And that gets the blower spinning about a third of the speed. And I did a growl on this right before the test at the start of the month. That was on July 3rd. And I had the horn pointed this way. So I just let the blower get up to speed and I plugged it in. Holy crap, that was just way too loud. I'm sure I could have done it, but when I had this, I mean, for 3 minutes, that's kind of ridiculous, especially with my neighbors being this close. So I just, you know, I don't want to have the cops showing up. If there's a tornado coming, that's a different story. Maybe I'd do it in that situation if it was more than a warning. You know, if it was like the tornado emergency that we had, I would have done it. But, yeah, no, this is not a huge priority to use with how close my neighbors are to me. And I'm pretty careful about how often I run this. I did a growl on it today, but that's all the more I will do on it outside of a test or a tornado warning with the city. As I said, I don't want cops showing up. This thing, even with just without the blower running, with the chopper going, at least when I was standing right here, right next to the outlet during the test, it was just as loud as just as loud as Westmont was, pretty much at 200 feet. So that's insane. And I had these neighbors right behind me. One of them, their kid came outside and he was looking all around and he was, you know, all confused. So, and I know this guy up here was whacking his bushes or whacking his weeds, whatever. So he got to hear it. But yeah, I don't advertise to my neighbors that I have this because I do live in an HOA. So the blower motor on this is 3-phase, and it makes absolutely no noise. The bearings on this are pretty well worn in, but they still have grease. So it just, as you can hear, no matter what direction it goes, I can't hear anything. I can't even hear, you know, I mean, these don't have brushes in them, but I can't hear any racket at all coming from those bearings. So that's in really good shape. It works as a really good weight. This motor here weighs about 200, I would guess. The blower itself is probably on the 175 to 200 mark. It's, yeah, these things are gargantuan. And I was trying to carry this. Me and my dad carried all this crap down from the garage. And yeah, we had to make several stops. We had to, you know, we didn't have a dolly. We should have got a furniture dolly. That really would have helped. But, yeah, just one man on one side and one man on the other. That did not cut it. So for future reference, when you guys are moving these things, use a furniture dolly. If you have a forklift, that'd be nice, but I live in a city, so that's not happening. I do plan to move out in the country, though, so this thing will be put up in full-time use someday. But until that day comes, it lives on my back patio. There she is. I do have decals for it, but as I said, I'm thinking about getting it powder coated, and obviously I'm gonna get rid of this panel, so I don't want to waste my decals because they are no longer made. But it's the old 50s decal, so it's not, you know, the new FS. It's the Federal with the big ol' like F that, I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I'm talking about. It's the 50s logo. So that's my Thunderbolt. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. Yeah, one last thing is I'm thinking about hooking this up to a Wi-Fi outlet. As you can see, I have two separate cords here. These are old vacuum cords. I hooked the rotator motor up to this one, and then there's the chopper cord. So what I might do is I might have two Wi-Fi outlets. That way this thing can continue to rotate for, you know, a couple seconds like it did when I ran it. And also it's a little bit less stress on the outlet, even though when these things run, the chopper, when it's not hooked up to that transformer, it only pulls like 2 amps. But when it's hooked up to that transformer, it starts pulling like close to 10. So, and it might actually pull more than that, depending on what voltage you run it on. The rotator motor, I think, pulls 4. So in total, it's only pulling, 6 amps. It could be a little bit more on startup, but I don't know. I think it's a good idea to just start them separately, and that way I can just keep it rotating like it's on an Agastat, and I can individually test the motors. And the way I'd do that is I'd probably just have them 2 Wi-Fi outlets, like right here, or whatever, somewhere in this range, and just 1 cord going to that, so I could just plug it in and pull the tarp off when I want to run it. So that's what I've been doing, but for now, yeah, it's just hooked up to 2 cords. It's been treating me well. And one last thing I'll show you is this frame. I thought me and my buddy pounded it good enough to get it back into place, but you can see there's a little bit of movement going on, and it looks like it's that bottom left corner there. It's not totally straight, so I need to do some more work to this frame. It was all rusted out terribly when I first got it. You can see kind of a gap there. I just painted over the rust, because what can you do? I tried wire wheeling it down, and that doesn't do shit. So this was all split open. I just pounded the crap out of it, stuck a angle grinder with a cutoff wheel down in there, and tried getting some of that out. That didn't work. So the best thing I was able to do is flip it on its side and just smack it over and over again, and that got so much crap to fall out. I had, like, I would say, this big, like 2 of those piles of that crap come out of here. So I just smacked it back into place, ran a bead across that, kind of welded it. It will be good and solid. If I ever have to, I could probably make a new frame for it if need be, but I think it's, fine. I would, if I put this up, I would have the frame down on the ground, even though I've been told the more problematic Thunderbolts have the frames on the ground. It's just so much easier for service, going down the road, and you don't run the risk of the thing falling, so that's what I'll do. And, oh yeah, one last thing. I do have the weights out in the garage. I misplaced them, so now I can't find them, but here's the relief valve. I have that off, that way it can pull more air in, because if that's sealed up, it's fighting with the blower, and it can't, it can't move any air, so it doesn't make enough noise. But yeah, with that off, holy crap, this thing is so loud without the blower, just standing right by that door there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. That's my Thunderbolt all together.